Welcome everybody to the annual Star Trek Gaming Summit. In this discussion we talk about everything from our classic games we all love to the future of the franchise, including some new projects like Star Trek Voyager Across the Universe, and I would say we dive directly into it and I say hello to Kat from the Priority One Armada. Hi there.
Hey, how's it going?
Not bad. A long day with my daughters, so yeah, a little bit tired, but I'm excited to talk to you all, especially to you, Kat. I'm a long-time listener of Priority One podcast, and it's nice to finally meet you.
Oh, nice to meet you too. Yeah, Winters told me about, what you were doing, and I said, yeah, I'd be happy to participate. Sounds very interesting. I'm excited to hear everybody's opinions and thoughts.
Absolutely, and I really want to know about the fleet and your progress, but let's continue down the road. I would say next is Chronos from the Birth of the Federation community. Hi there.
Hello, nice to meet you all.
You're definitely representing one of the oldest games here, and I'm also so happy that this game is still alive and still working with Windows 11. It's a rare thing sometimes.
Yeah, it's still kicking along thanks to the work of a lot of the modders. They're still hard at work when they have time. It's a blessing. I thought that if this game would have died out a long time ago too. So,
especially since you can't buy it anywhere.
Exactly. Yeah, I still own the disc, but yeah, it's unfortunately not. You can't buy it on the likes of GOG or Steam or something like that. So.
But for that, the community is quite alive. That's so nice.
Yeah.
Much better is, of course, in the sense the community in fleet operations from Star Trek Armada 2. There we can buy at least the game on GOG, and so we have here Tryptic.
Yeah, Armada is in a better space in that sense.
I'm not used to losing the oldest game competition.
Yeah.
It's 2001. We're about to hit our 25-year anniversary. But I guess Star Trek has quite a legacy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Star Trek people were making games in like 1990, I guess.
Yeah. Birth of the Federation was 1999 in May, at least in the US. I don't know. I might have had a different release in the UK, if I recall correctly.
I think not by much. I also bought it in summer of 1999 in Austria.
Yeah. It's around the summertime, I remember.
And then we have one from a much more newer game, Star Trek Bridge Commander from 2002. Hi, Greystar. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm doing pretty well today. We have a pretty small modding community, but what the community has accomplished with the limits of the game is pretty astounding, in my honest opinion. There's a thing going on. There's a whole new project. There was an old project called Kobayashi Maru, the Kobayashi Maru overhaul for the game, and that's basically being reworked in the current moment by the original people who wrote KM. So there's a lot to look forward to in that game at the moment.
Absolutely. I would never have dreamed of that Bridge Commander modding is coming back, basically. Fleet operations was always there, but Bridge Commander died off after the servers were shut down and the game wasn't available anymore. It was rough.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. There are some people that actually do host multiplayer servers in the new remastered and Orion 5 updates, or I should say overhaul mods, but it's usually one server dependent, so the main person who owns the servers has to run it in order to actually play the multiplayer. It's fun though. I've played the multiplayer.
The good thing is also most of those games can't die in the multiplayer sense because there is something like direct IP. We can always play that. Sadly, Star Trek Online, I fear, is a different chapter. If they ever shut it down, I fear we will lose so much gaming history, so much history of all the actors. But maybe, Kat, you can give us a little update about the current situation in Star Trek Online. Are we close to death or are we far away?
That's a good question. I feel like we're somewhere in the middle. Unfortunately, I mean, I've been playing the game since 2014, which is probably about, I can't remember when the game launched, 2010. So, I guess I was a latecomer according to some people, but the studio was sold to Decca, which is a German company that I guess they were known for sunsetting games, but they, from everything we keep hearing from the dev community, that they have a roadmap and a plan, and they have released some new content, albeit it's not very much. And, we are still doing our regular events that you log in for. So, people are still buying stuff, buying ships, buying all the things. I just, for me, it's hard to maintain an MMO that doesn't get new content, new things that often. It's a struggle.
Especially since we lost the Foundry.
Yeah, I feel like maybe that was a turning point, hearing from the rest of the people here today. It's always amazing to me to hear people maintain an interest in a game that old and continue to work on it and develop it independently of even the studio. I just think that's so creative and fantastic. And I applaud all of you guys for doing that and keeping interest in a game that you love.
You mentioned the transition from the States to Europe. How is it going? Is it already done? Is it stable?
Yeah, I mean, it was a long process, moving and, shutting down operations, I think, in the US and training the new team. I mean, the transition felt like it lasted forever because then there was a huge drought on new content or anything really besides the same events that we've had forever. Yeah, I mean, I think they've named a new community manager, and they seem to be more active. They're posting things. And again, we have gotten new content. So I'm hoping this is, a sign in the right direction. But I think if you at all played Star Trek Online, I mean, it's a little concerning that this move happened, and you would hope that they would do something to improve the game. Since it still makes money, it's profitable,
I wonder, do you still have contact to the developers, or is everything dried out basically?
No, there's a whole new team working on it. Some of those folks do drop into our, live streams that we have every Saturday for Priority One Armada, and they've been very friendly and approachable. But, time zones and things, other than them, dropping by, we haven't had a lot of discussions, though I would love to have some discussions with them to see how the transition goes. But I don't know how much of that they could actually tell us, but I'm fascinated to know.
What also wondered me is that some of the original devs more or less still work on the game, or is this still a transition period?
Well, I mean, some names are familiar. Jeremy Randall, I think, is still on the team, as well as Thomas Maroney. So we got our ship designer. And I assume that they're still working full time, but, again, details are pretty sparse as to the actual, day-to-day goings on.
That's good that at least some of the veterans are still active and working, especially the Cryptic Cat and the rest are such an amazing bunch of developers and Star Trek fans.
Absolutely. Al Rivera, huge, Star Trek fan, and you kind of felt like, oh, the game's in the right hands because that whole team were, extremely huge fans of all things Star Trek. But I suspect that there's some people at Decca that are also Star Trek fans. I mean, you've got to know you have a valuable IP that, has at least some guaranteed audience and people that are willing to, buy things still in game.
Yeah, let's hope so at least.
Yeah, absolutely.
And on the fleet, how is life going on the fleet side?
For the Armada? Oh man, well we
yeah.
Are you talking to?
No, it's fine. My mistake.
Well, I want to hear about fleet. I want to hear it. On the Armada, okay, for Priority One Armada, there's a ton of people that are still actively playing, and there's still some new people. We host our regular events, and we are continuing to develop, cool rewards and things to recognize our members. We've got a thing going now where, at this point in the game, if you don't have multiple characters, at least a Fed, a KDF, a Romulan, a Jemadar, a TOS character or a Discovery character, you're kind of missing out on some cool story content. But we have in the Armada what we call specialist fleets. So we have like the Klingon High Council, which is, you have to be a Klingon to be a member of that. And we have the Romulan fleets, the Ferengi fleet. Anyway, so if you're in those fleets and you rank up in those fleets, we give you and send to you free of charge these very cool challenge coins with the fleet logo and the Priority One logo. So that, we're always trying to come up with ways to, reward our members, because it's we appreciate everyone's dedication to the game. Our members have been around for years and years, and to me, that's just incredible. So, they support us, and we try to support them as much as we can.
And of course, I want to also touch the latest content. What do you think about the last missions we got? It wasn't many the last year, but at least some.
Yeah, I mean, that's my point. I think that, again, that was still transitioning from the old team to the new team, because I know the old team had stuff, that had been planned out for a long time. And yeah, the newest content, again, I don't know if that was a full Deca production. I mean, it was shorter than the other content that we had been getting. They're on the new cycle of, I think it's once a quarter now, we will get a new mission, which is sometimes it takes like an hour or so to run the mission, which I prefer, more frequent, shorter content more frequently than maybe once a quarter, because you do lose interest, and you have to go back and replay things because you forgot what happened. And yeah, that's my biggest complaint right now. But I'm hopeful that the new team is just getting geared up to give us stuff. I hope.
I found it so strange that the last mission we got was around 20 minutes, and the mission before over an hour. It was so strangely balanced.
I know. So I don't know if they're trying to come up with a new, cycle or a new way to release things. I'm not sure. They've done endless testing, or at least they have all the player data, which is so fascinating. I don't know which direction they're going in, but maybe. I mean, I'm hopeful. At least we're still getting new content, and new quality of life improvements and things like that. So activity is still happening. The game is not dead yet. Fingers crossed.
I wonder how much that has to do with just the legacy of MMOs, because for most of its life, the entire MMORPG genre didn't have to worry about players' time because the entire player base was willing to spend as much time as it took to finish the missions. So they never really learned, they never needed to make it shorter or tighter because people were just there for it. And I don't know if they are these days.
Well, there's so many options these days, your time is limited, and you can't, there is the daily grind, which can be a grind. It gets annoying. You get burned out, I just feel like, to make it interesting, you've got to always be improving and coming up with things for people to do if you want them to spend their time in your game. But I don't know. You guys tell me, because it seems like the games you guys work on are not in that state.
Well, to be fair, I would say the Star Trek Online, I mean, it has a way different experience to things like what I work on. A lot of the games that we play are kind of like simulation games. They have like a sandbox type dynamic. So whenever myself, anyways, when I go and play Star Trek Online, I like the game, I like the stories behind it, I like the ship designs. But sometimes having to stick to a storyline kind of makes me I kind of just, especially with the fighting mechanics. I mean, I don't really like the fighting mechanics, at least on the ground level in STO. but I do enjoy the game overall. I haven't played it in a good bit, but I do enjoy the game from time to time. It's kind of my take on it.
I mean, I fully love the starting parts of it. The middle parts I get bored with if I'm gonna replay things, but I agree. I like ground combat though, but I feel what you're saying there. I having now played, so I don't know if you guys know anything about all of this, but Stowe was the first game I ever really played. I was never really into gaming growing up, so I only knew that game and I'd never really played any other games. But having choices like a choose your own adventure, I feel like any combat situation, you should always have a diplomatic way out, and we don't get that in Stowe. And I like games that give you, hey, your choices matter and there's a consequence for what you're choosing to do.
I agree with that, yeah.
I definitely will never look at any statistics how many people I killed in Star Trek Online. It's way too much.
Yeah, you're like Terran Empire.
Yeah.
I do like the lore they've added onto the Star Trek universe, though. Well, I should say Star Trek multiverse now that that's moved on from a single universe. Things like the Ethereans. The Ethereans are really nice. And then we have things like the 29th century ships upwards through the 30th and 31st and 32nd century ships. I love adding little bits of lore to places that aren't really distinguished in the actual canon of the show. So having some kind of reference to the different eras that we see in the design, the design aesthetics, things like that, I do love, and I love adding into that and creating my own little era bits. But a lot of times, if something is set in stone like that for the game, I do like to kind of keep it and add on to it.
I definitely think for a very long time, the developers of Star Trek Online just kept, at least for me, Star Trek alive. And also on the sense of the quality of the story, it's even much better what we get sometimes from Hollywood.
Shoot, I think jumping into a topic we're probably going to hit later, but anybody who's a fan of a storyline likes to be there when parts are being added to that storyline. And so much of Star Trek is legacy, and it's a little harder for people to get into a story that's already been completely told, right? Like, they might not be as interested in Picard because Picard's story has been just about told from beginning to end. Like, there won't be anything, like every single thing that the new person finds out about the story, someone else has already found out. I mean, their parents might have been there when it aired on TV for the very first time. And they want to be part of that special, like they want to be part of the new stories. And honestly, yeah, I would say Star Trek Online has produced new Star Trek stories way better than any other sources have.
I agree. I really do think Enterprise was the last good Star Trek thing that came out. I mean, I do like some of the newer series. Like, I like what they did with the Future Discovery ships. I'm a really big fan of the Future Discovery ships, and I have added on to the lore just so it seems more reasonable for the era. But it's still, a lot of this stuff feels like it could have been done better. But I do like some aspects of it. Some aspects I like, some aspects I am not really a fan of. But I watch every show regardless. I don't really mind not watching. I don't really mind like the flaws of the show if I get to watch it to begin with, because I like to compare. I like to see how does this fit into the story, all these different things, just so I can create a timeline in my head of all the different events from different stuff.
Speaking about different timelines, I mentioned it before, I so missed the Foundry. We recently had a crossover in Star Trek from Doctor Who to Star Trek, and we had this already in, I think, 2012, 13, something like that, in the Foundry. So amazingly created story missions in the Foundry, and I miss that so much. Yeah,
I love when stories do these crossovers, like, because it introduces this large range of things that you can then add to a universe or build upon in a universe. It's very interesting. I love crossovers for that exact reason, especially when you're taking two universes who have or I should say, no correlation to each other to then create kind of this larger, bigger perspective.
Well, and also a lot of the time you have characters who they're such strong characters and they should have so much agency, but the world they're in has such extreme things going all the time that they're sort of tossed around by the story and by their environment, and you don't actually get to see them acting on the strength of their character all that often. But in a crossover, there is no main story, and it's nothing but interesting characters doing interesting things based on their agency. Although I do remember many years ago there was a famous fan fiction, which was the X-Men Star Trek crossover, and the scene where Professor Xavier meets Picard, and they just stare at each other because it's the same actor.
I think I saw that one. Like, I saw something, I forget where. I must have been very young, so it's very foggy. But yeah, I was thinking about that, how that would go down between Picard and Xavier.
Was this fan fiction or a real production, a comic?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it was just a really famous fan fiction.
And talking about fan fiction, back then we had a lot of YouTube fan fiction from Star Trek Online. Is this still alive?
Oh, I'm not aware of this, but I'm dying to see it now.
Basically, yeah, I'm going back again to the Foundry. They created storylines, created videos about their favorite characters, created whole new shows, stuff like that. Machinima stuff, basically. And yeah, for a long time, I don't see content like that. But of course, the algorithm on YouTube is very, very strange these days. I wouldn't be surprised that I just don't see it and it's still there.
Yeah, it is too bad about the Foundry, but I suspect ultimately, the decision was financial. That we have talked the subject about the Foundry to death, I think, in other areas, but it is sad. I think games that, champion their community and modders and mods, to the game, I think that's a cool way to approach it. I can see, the other side of it for money. It always comes down to money, but I don't know. What do you guys think about all that?
Especially when you are actively developing stuff and push out missions every week. Yeah, I totally see it that they shut it down, the Foundry. But now we are again in a little bit of a content route, so would have been nice to have it.
So basically you're saying if we wanted to reach the next generation with all of this legacy Star Trek stuff, we need to go make Roblox levels that are Star Trek stories.
No.
Another big change in Star Trek Online was, of course, not long ago, we got an expansion of the Endeavor system. I was 2 days away from completing my Endeavor. Over 750 points, I spent it, and then crap, another 750.
No, that's awful.
Killed a little bit my motivation.
Yeah, I had already completed mine, and then they raised it, and now I'm just not motivated to do it at all. So I'm sure I will get motivated again. It's just, I was like, I gotta do this again, man.
It feels a little bit back to the start. It's so far away now.
Yeah, I know. So I'm like, well, I was motivated when I was close before, but now I'm really far away again. So we'll see. I'll pick it up again.
It's always like very, well, I mean, I don't really like when games kind of halt your progress. I think that there should at least be some kind of fallback saying, hey, if you were grinding this, you have like you have this much time before we'll keep this as compensation for your time. But I guess if they do have that, because if they do have their whole thing, I don't know. I guess people who already have it got it a bit easier, and then there's the new people. But I think that it should only be things like applicable to a new account, like something past the date of that happening. Like if you create your account after that date, I think that should have been, sure, we're gonna double this. But if you created your account before this, we're just gonna continue on with that. You can continue on with that grind to kind of get it like everybody else did.
Yeah, I can't imagine starting fresh to do endeavors. That sounds awful.
To be honest, I can't even imagine starting the game as a noob now. It's so much content. It's funnily enough completely the opposite what started in 2010. We had not enough content to have a big LAN party, for example. After a weekend, you played more or less the entire story content and leveled up. And now we have so much to choose from.
Well, and that's the entire problem that all of us face in many ways is you want to make it fun for people who've been in this for 10, 20 years, and you want to give them more so they can keep advancing, but also they need to feel special because of their legacy time, like, making actual coins for them, something that honors the amount of dedication they've put into it. But you also don't want to turn off the new people who don't have that and who look at that and get super intimidated. Like if someone were to start Star Trek Online today, you'd probably want to put together like a course for them of, these are the campaigns you want to play in this order, to have the most fun. You don't have, and almost like they want a list of content you don't have to do to make it more manageable and smaller for them to be more comfortable and to make it feel like something they can actually finish and enjoy.
I guess that's also the reason why they redone the tutorial multiple times.
Yeah, to keep it interesting. I mean, the Romulan in tutorial is still my favorite storyline. I think it's the most interesting that you get, of your options.
Yeah, it's so true. It has been so long since I last played my Romulan character, and I really enjoyed that storyline.
Yeah, I wish, again, that there was a little more differentiation, once you get into the missions, based on what faction you're playing. I mean, you do get some dialogue sometimes, but, now having played other games, I'm like, I bet there was another way you could approach this.
Absolutely. But yeah, I would say we move on a little bit, especially since Greystar doesn't have much time.
Unfortunately, yeah.
So yeah, I would say let's jump directly into Star Trek Bridge Commander. How is the community?
The community right now is pretty stable. We do not have a big community. From what I understand, we have there's the rep community and the BCC, Bridge Commander Central community. And everybody's working on their own projects. So there's the Bridge Commander Central has always kind of been the main place for BC, and they have a pretty nice community, I'd say. They are working on the Bridge Commander Maelstrom mod right now, and are creating entirely new things I didn't even know were possible with the game engine. And there was... Basically, the game runs off of the old NIF scope. I don't know exactly what version. I know I should say NIF node property. It's usually version 0.9.8 to 1.1.3 that you can really do modding in if you want to do things for the models. And there is, in 0.9.8 though, there are some special things you can do to kind of make your models pop, and they've been doing that a lot in BCC, in specifically BCMM, and it has been teased a couple times. And these are the people who basically made Bridge Commander modding possible. They're coming back. They wrote the Kobayashi Maru mod originally. They're coming back. A lot of the older modders from like 2002 to 2010 are coming back and are kind of continuing their work on the game. So right now we're kind of having another golden era to the game because there's a lot of people who are coming back to work on the game. And there's there's actually two new entire game overhauls being worked on right now. One, as I mentioned, is Bridge Commander Maelstrom mod, which at the moment is focusing on stability, as if anybody has played Bridge Commander, if you install KM, you play KM, there's a lot of crashing, a lot of stuff. In Bridge Commander now you can do upwards of several hundred ship battles. Like, there was a guy the other day who did about 150 different types of ships in one single instance of the game. It was crazy, at least from playing KM. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can't even do that in remastered. And then there is the remastered enhancement project, which actually came before remastered, and it is actually an overhaul of the game engine itself. Like, they're going into the game engine and messing around with the properties of the game engine. They're not writing a whole new game engine, but they are kind of messing around with it. It's been pretty cool. I'm a relatively newer modder. I do basic scripting and stuff, and hard pointing, and I do a little bit of model building too, but I don't do texturing. I haven't figured that out quite just yet. But I want to work once I get into more of the more complex stuff, such as texturing. I actually want to help out on the Maelstrom mod and or remastered enhancement project if I can, because there's a lot going on right now. I've been able to talk to some of the old greats like Wile E. Coyote, Boss Cyanide, who does, like, if you know the Arsenal class, he's does some crazy textures. He does like 8K textures. The game doesn't like that, so unfortunately you have to compress them. But yeah, I've been able to talk to people like DJ Curtis. There was a guy who now works, I don't remember what channel he works on, but he does the 3D models for a relatively big Star Trek YouTube channel. I've been able to talk to him. His modding name was Baz1701. On YouTube, it's Barry C1701, I believe. But I've gotten the chance to talk to a lot of different people and hear their stories and hear how they were able to develop the skills they needed. And when the game was new, all this multiplayer stuff, it was pretty cool. So we have a pretty nice history to our modding community, though I would love to see it grow more. We don't have a lot of people. Most of the community we have are just people who casually play the game. There's not a lot of people who actually mod the game. So kind of something I hope that we get more like experienced people in, because there are a lot of people that are modding the game now, like myself, are relatively newer. We don't have a lot of experience in the aspects needed to create game things, but like I said, there are people that are coming back who had worked on the game previously, which kind of makes me celebrate a little bit.
Do you think most of them came back because of the re-release on GOG, or was it just a general interest?
Well, most of them actually came back because of the Bridge Commander Maelstrom mod project.
I remember that from the early 2000s. Is it still the same project or something completely new?
Yeah, they were there when the game, a lot of these people had played it when it first came out, and then the game wasn't really moddable until these people, these foundation developers came in. They called it the foundation scripting. And I've been able to talk to them as well. They're really knowledgeable with scripting and stuff. Some of them are even like professional IT developers. And a lot of these people had these dreams and these ambitions to mod Bridge Commander. And so they built an entire basis so that modding Bridge Commander could be so much more simple than what it was back in the day. They built these hardpoint editors and all these different things. And it was all because of them that really anything's possible. So whenever these old people were like, were contacted, because all the old people are kind of like in a web. They've always been connected. So when they heard about this project going on, the Maelstrom mod project, they were like, oh dang, that's pretty cool. I didn't know Bridge Commander was getting so much attention, so I'll come back and I'll spectate the communities a little bit. I might even release some new stuff. It's been pretty cool. I quite enjoy it. It's been nice to see.
Like I said, it's many years ago. What is the mod and what do they plan for the future? Can you give us some insight?
So basically, they're for Maelstrom mod, they are, as you know, Kobayashi Maru was kind of like this whole big thing that added on to the game. He had different ships. You had more story campaigns. Maelstrom mod is actually adding more story campaigns and adding more features. However, right now they are just, it's in the very early stages. So they've been working on it for a while, but it takes a while to compile these things and create them. So they have a base, but it is only working on stability at the moment. So you can run these crazy ship battles, and they are currently working on a NIF Bible to tell you how to edit ships. There was one guy who was working on that because he does these crazy NIF hierarchical maps, which basically means you can do all these crazy visual effects with them. You can do them on ships too. But that's kind of been the main focus, is kind of just adding more to the story campaign, making the game more stable. And they said to me that they might try to work on more technologies, because the whole thing about Kobayashi Maru, the reason why I love it so much is that there's so much different modability in terms of technologies you can add on to the foundation technology, and write your own scripts for things you want to happen in the game. So if you want a specific weapon to do a specific thing and you want an immunity to it, you can generate or create a script that has that capability to do that, and then that weapon will work the way that you want it to. In Bridge Command told me that they might do something like that. However, they are currently only focusing on stability. They said that if they get to it, then they will. I hope they do, because that would imagine Bridge Commander with almost no crashing and so much modability. That would be really cool to see.
Yeah, we called it back on our LAN parties early 2000s Crash Commander, because it crashed a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know a game that crashes a lot too.
Yeah.
I haven't played Bridge Commander before, but the game that we mod, A Birth of the Federation, is known to be a very crash-happy game. So I kind of, I don't know if it's like a older Star Trek game. When did it release? Bridge Commander?
Bridge Commander is 2002.
Okay, so it is quite old. Maybe not as old as others.
It was never actually finished, believe it or not.
Really? Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, Bridge Commander was when it was first released on the disc. It was released. It was really rushed for a Christmas release, because they were like, "Oh, what would have the most sales?" And then they were like, "Oh, well, we'll just release it like this," even though the game wasn't optimized. So the game engine is a little bit, unfortunately, it's very finicky and very unstable, but there are some the Maelstrom mod, and it goes back in and rewrites some of the old scripts that allow for the game engine to function better and for it to have more versatility in terms of ships.
Well, and it's honestly crazy that in, what did we just say, like 23 years, no one has really replicated the Bridge Commander design. Not properly. So it's still like the only place someone can go to get the Bridge Commander experience is your modding community.
Yeah. In my opinion, it's the best free space flight simulator. And there have been so many mods for it over the years. There's any franchise you can think of pretty much has a mod at this point. There's Stargate, there's other Star Trek games, there's Star Wars, there's Star Wreck even. There's all these different mods. I've been doing Space Battleship Yamato mods recently. We've been working on turret text for that, even though it is a bit difficult.
I guess in general, the game was a little bit too ambitious. I'm not sure if you know that. There was even the option that you hook up a microphone and give verbal commands to your crew.
Yep.
It was hit and miss, but it worked.
Yeah. I wish I had gotten to try that. I don't know if there's any copies that are still available. I don't even know if that was the verbal command thing. Yeah.
When's your AI voice to text plugin for your mod gonna come?
Well, Bridge Commander is not. It used to be. It's not done through text like the. It used to be like you could speak into a microphone and they could recognize the commands. But a lot of it is actually done through menus, believe it or not. So you have to manually go through like 6 different screens of LCARs to do what you want.
Well, you have to work for your money. I like that in a simulation game.
Yeah.
And I guess you have to be glad that Tenacity is not here, because he is a big fan, and so am I, of Klingon Academy. I think this was the pinnacle of Starship Simulation, but Bridge Commander is also near there.
Yeah, I personally like Bridge Commander a lot more than any other game that I've seen. I know Klingon Academy is extremely versatile in the kind of things you can do in the game. Bridge Commander just has a lot. It feels there's so much you can do with the game. It's just unbelievable. I wish they had finished it. I wish that all these different mods were still in like development. I mean, I'm glad that they're going back and redoing like an overhaul mod for it. That makes me really happy, and I hope that there's a lot more you can do with the game than right now. I hope that they put a lot of more time and effort into, you know, doing their stuff and getting it so the game can function better. That would be nice.
Do you think we will ever see higher resolution? Well, the current limit is roughly around 1080p.
Unfortunately, that is a game engine limited feature, and without having a new game engine, I don't think we would be able to see that. I know we can do things with like DirectX wrapper and stuff like that. You can artificially boost the different resolutions, but as for pure resolution, usually the game just crashes when you try to launch it on a high resolution screen, unfortunately.
Well, at least we have 1080p.
Yeah.
It's better than 4:3 ratio. That was a strange time.
Yeah. Yeah, the Bridge Commander modding community is still very strong. I'm very surprised. From what I've heard from the older guys, they thought it was going to die out years ago after the multiplayer went offline, but it's still going pretty strong. So hopefully more people join, I'd say. I really like meeting the new people and teaching them how to do stuff.
I really think what keeps this game alive is the ability that you can recreate your Star Trek battles as you like. You want to replay, for example, the first time in Deep Space Nine you meet the Dominion, you can do so. Have 3 shuttles, 3 runabouts, a Galaxy class and 3 Jemadars, and you're done. You can't do that in many games.
Yep.
Well, and as I've said, I think one of the strongest things of all of our communities, certainly the strongest thing for fleet operations, is the fact that they literally never made another game like this.
There is that.
You know, if there's some early 20s nerdy guy, we can be like, hey, do you want to play some imaginary spaceships against each other in custom battles? Well, you literally can't do it anywhere else but right here. Come try our mod.
Yeah, like I said, I've never played Bridge Commander, but it sounds like it has a good element of replayability with all these custom settings you can put on. I really appreciate that.
And with all the mods that have been made over the years, like I said, there's things from every single every single sci-fi series you can think of. You can put any of those against each other.
Sounds really cool.
Also, it's very noob friendly, because most YouTubers I discover playing this game the first few rounds don't know that you can manual command the ship, because the tutorial is saying that you can hit the space key and you can control it, but in general the tutorial shows you, oh, you have to talk to the helms officer to fly somewhere, you have to talk to the tactical officers to fire your weapons. So most of them just play that way, and it's totally playable.
Yeah. I cycle through a lot of the menus with the F keys. I do it really fast most of the time, but sometimes you just get caught up in the moment.
Yeah, this is definitely unique. In no other Star Trek game, you can basically order your tactical officer to engage the enemy while you get a coffee and leave the PC.
Yeah. Anyways, I do have to head off now. I gotta go to work.
Well, thanks for joining. Even though it was totally spontaneous, thanks again. And yeah, see you around, I guess.
Anytime. I'll be around if you want to do another one of these. Definitely. Anyways, bye-bye.
Well, it's an annual thing. So yeah, see you around. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Nice to meet you.
Bye, Greystar.
Nice to meet all you too.
Well, then we still have 2 big modding communities active here. Who wants to go first?
Oh, you can go ahead.
Yeah, okay, fine. So actually, from what he said about a bridge commander, that feels eerily familiar to some of the things we've been experiencing in our community over the years. Our community isn't that large. I wouldn't say it's that much larger than Bridge Commander. Birth of the Federation's always kind of had like a loyal but off and on player base. The modders too are they pop in and out over the years. Before I get into that, I'd like to do a quick little PSA, announcement for any Birth of the Federation YouTubers out there, or if you're putting videos out there, if that's okay. Like right now, someone's actually bought the rights to some of the game's music, I think, because I uploaded YouTube videos for Birth of the Federation, and I'm getting copyright strikes on some of the game's music for the first time ever. So just something to look out
really?
for.
Did you use the license?
That might be AI driven, honestly.
Yeah, we don't really know. I'm not gonna throw out names, but someone in particular is like taking just different Star Trek music, like from different games and probably other sources as well, and like selling it on Amazon, which I don't know how that happened. This is a new development. Yeah.
I suspect that's not really something that they legally could be doing unless they can show their documentation. Well, for some background, you probably don't know that I'm an intellectual property lawyer, so
Yeah,
I'm curious about that. But if you need help responding to anything, feel free to reach out.
Oh yeah, thank you. I'm not really good with the legal stuff. Unfortunately, it's not my expertise. Hasn't really ever been. But fortunately, we can't ignore it. So yeah.
I mean, usually you say, okay, you have said you own this. How do I know that that's true? Give me, what your claim is, because here's what I'm operating on. Here's, my license says I'm allowed to use this, or whatever your argument is.
It's just a little bit annoying because on YouTube, you can file a counter to the copyright claim, but YouTube basically says in subtext, if we find your counterclaim to be fraudulent, then we might disable your YouTube account. And I'm just I'm not gonna risk that with my.
If you have a good faith response to that and you do believe that you have the rights to use whatever you're using, then that's highly unlikely.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds like bullying.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, it's but also YouTube is not trying to, adjudicate any of these complaints. They're like, you guys take it offline and work it out for yourselves.
Yeah. I see. So, moving on, I just wanted to get that out there. If anyone is watching the stream later is a Birth of the Federation fan and makes content, I just feel like that might be worth knowing. So I want to move on to the modding community and also the multiplayer scene. I'm kind of in this awkward position where I started playing the game multiplayer for the first time, in 2018. I only played the game single player for the longest time, so I was not there for when the game first released and people started creating clans and battling it out in the gaming messenger zone a long time ago. I was not part of that, so I have quite a different perspective than other Birth of the Federation veterans. But I'm really excited about the modding right now because even though we don't have many people working on stuff, there's been a lot more collaboration between people. I think the Thunder Hero or Thunder Chero, if you're watching this, I hope I'm not mispronouncing your handle here, but he's the admin or one of the admins of Armada Fleet Command, and he's been really helpful to a lot of people, and especially me, getting helping me start modding.
Do you know, is there still development on this kind of remaster, this new engine? There was something 5-6 years ago.
Yes, I know what you're talking about. That was the NPR Plus. Basically, that would overhaul in some way the battle engine, like the graphics for it, for the Birth of the Federation ship battles, which was like it is really good. Unfortunately, if you play it online, if you use that add-on online, it just seems to crash the game a whole lot more for whatever reason. We actually don't even know why. The person who developed it, he's on the Armada Fleet Command too. He goes by Floki. He's based in Germany, and he did a good work on that. But I don't know when he's planning to update it. We've been waiting for many years and just hoping that maybe he would. But until then, that project is on ice, unfortunately. But we're still, working on other things that I think people will be excited about.
I saw you still host tournaments.
Yeah, I do. The first tournament I played in was in 2022. I just discovered the Birth of the Federation server for Discord, and I just kind of popped in last minute as the last player to grab the last seat. And I'm pretty sure I lost the first round, but I went back in the next year and I won. They are actually gracious enough to let me try my own mod for tournaments after that. We just called Rise multiplayer mod. It could use a good rebranding later, but it's sort of, there was another important mod that came out years ago that unfortunately came after the multiplayer scene kind of died down because the server shut off. There's a player named Fluids who really revamped the balance of the game. I feel like a lot of other mods are kind of like complete overhauls. Like they change things around. They add a different playable empire like the Dominion, which wasn't in the original game, of course, because they didn't have the rights to any DS9 content from what I know. So basically for modding, I feel like an important part of it now is because the original game, unfortunately, like Birth of the Federation, as fun as it is, it's has great replayability because it's like if you have, I'm not sure how many of you have tried Star Trek Infinite. I didn't play the game myself. I've heard a lot of people are disappointed by it.
I heard it was a very simpler version of Stellaris. Sorry.
Yeah.
I wanted to come to that. Let's say it that way. You get a Star Trek game, an official Star Trek game, and you don't even have the right phaser sounds. So yeah, I prefer the fan project New Horizons, which is an unbelievable time sink. If you want to lose your completely in a game, this is the game. You can replay the entire Star Trek storyline as you want, basically.
Yeah.
It takes forever. So yeah, I only played a little bit on LAN parties, but no. I don't spend my entire life in one game. I'm a game hopper, more or less.
That's Stellaris mod, right?
Exactly. Also, Star Trek Infinite was more or less Stellaris, just an off branch of the engine.
And how was, I know the Infinite kind of had like a different fleet combat system, if I got that right, than Stellaris did. I'm not sure if Stellaris had that or if it was just simulated.
It was also a simulation. It wasn't really combat, yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing I like more about an older game like Birth of the Federation. Like I'm not gonna say that, like I have a bias, of course, because I grew up with the game, but it's not perfect. But at least like it looks nice and it has like a learning curve to it, and it's interesting. Maybe not so faithful to the canon as if you watched like the various TV shows. Birth of the Federation combat is not really like that, but it's still its own. I still have to give credit to the developers for the limited tools they had to come up with something like that for that game, especially back in 1999 or whatever. It's still pretty impressive to me. So yeah, it's one of the things I like about the game. Another thing is if you like replayability, like I was talking about that earlier. I think that's a really important thing that's missing in a lot of new games, Star Trek games these days. Birth of the Federation, like kind of like unlike Star Trek Infinite, another criticism I heard about Infinite was that you basically have the canon starting locations for all of the, you know, Alpha Quadrant races that we all kind of know and love, but there was no like option to have like a random setting where, like, you know, let's say you're you choose the Cardassians, and, you know, but if you do that in Infinite, then it's like you are next to Bajor, and you're owning Bajor, and you're kind of like playing out like the television show's story, but like in a slightly different way. And there wasn't like that, kind of gets boring fast for some people, I hear. And for me too, I kind of agree with that. Like I would rather have an option at least to have like a map that changes, you know, from game to game, so we get more, so everything is a little different the next time you play. You know, it's like a board game and the map changes every time, and it's like I think that's a really, really great aspect to it. What else? Also, I like speaking about the music again. I love the music. Oh my god! So I remember the composer was Steven Scarier, I can't pronounce his last name, but I'm not sure if he's even still around. But I love if you can get him back to do more Star Trek game music, because I feel like that's one of the strong points of at least the aesthetic of Birth of the Federation. I don't really have much. I mean, I haven't really played that many other Star Trek games, unfortunately. Even though I am an avid Star Trek fan, I started off watching The Next Generation on. I'd borrowed the disc from the local library, and I have really fond memories of that. And then the only reason why I have Birth of the Federation, the original disc, is because my father gave it to me. So again, I'm kind of a little odd one out here. Most of the other players are like 30, pushing 40, even older. I'm in my 20s still. Bit of a generational gap. Is there anything else you wanted to specifically talk about? Like maybe some problems we had for the game recently?
Maybe the Discord itself. I always fear if a Discord basically came original from a forum, is there some splitting of the community? How is the community situation in that way?
Well, most of the regulars who've been around for a while have an account both on our Discord, which is called the Continuum now. We rebranded, but they have an account on both places, and so I don't know if it's really been that much of a problem. Like most of the people, like as they become active again, we usually invite them, and almost always they join up, without a few exceptions, on the Discord. But both the Armada Fleet Command and Discord have their pros and cons when it comes to networking. I'd say the forum has a lot of like archival value, like, you know, just so much modding information, tutorials, and etc. just on there that just is really useful. And of course, it's just easier to go there and just to go back there.
Well, I would say that's fine. Let's also say we move on to the Fleet Ops community.
Yeah, so during our talk last time, which was over a year ago or about a year ago, I think I already explained most of what's going on, but since then, the modding community is really thriving. We've had a few new people join. I guess I should step back and say, so Star Trek Armada 2 is a real-time strategy, and Fleet Operations is a community mod which overhauls most of the systems. Original A2 had some experimental things, such as like 3D, like an actual real-time strategy with an up and a down, so it was like a cube instead of a square for a lot of your maps. And also they had warp travel, which basically means every unit can travel super fast around the map. Both of those were taken out in Fleet Operations to make it a little more traditional. But yeah, it's hard to say how active the actual game is because the only numbers we have is mod downloads. A lot of people don't come on the Discord, or a few of them, they'll stop by and say hi, but a lot of them are playing with their friends or just by themselves. And we don't have too many active multiplayer games in the community, but we know that many people are just hopping on and playing multiplayer with their friends. So yeah, meanwhile, we continue to make progress. It's amazing where you can find progress to make an engine this old. So as a game that came out around 2000, a lot of the unit behavior was very simple back then, and sometimes your units could be very frustrating. Like, a long-range ship shoots at one of your guys, and 10 of your guys run off and get killed by the enemy army. So there are some settings, like red alert and green alert, that you can add to your ship. And we have, with our 20 years later knowledge, we've been able to modify those settings to be a bit smarter and a little less frustrating. And that was really cool because that required digging into the engine itself and changing the AI behavior of units. So that makes it more accessible to newer people, and it makes it a newer game in general. We've been able to go back and refine a bunch of our models. So, for example, the ship models we were using, they have alpha channels in them, which is a part of the file which specifies lighting, which our engine was not actually using. And they took up around a quarter or more of the size of the file. So when we discovered that was going on, you can remove the alpha channel, or you can add a blank alpha channel, and the size of all of your textures gets smaller, which in an old engine like this, which originally had a very low memory cap, I believe we've increased the memory cap to 4 gigabytes. But when you're dealing with smaller numbers, any amount of saving is good. And over time, a whole bunch of little savings here and there make the whole mod run a little smoother and allow us to make bigger battles, add more things into it. So the gradual process of improvement has gone on for so long that it's slowly resulted in a much better engine than what we were working with, 10 years ago. And eventually, once a lot of the multiplayer stuff and the engine stuff is more locked down, I'd love to make custom campaigns. I think there's a massive amount of Star Trek lore and history that can be turned into missions that people would like to play. And since a lot of people don't actually play multiplayer for an old mod like this, they'll just hop in and play the campaign. I think campaigns would actually be a very big value add for a lot of people who are looking for an old game like this. Yeah, that's most of what's been going on. Like I said, a lot of the modding things happen in the background, so like most players wouldn't know about it or care about it. Oh yeah, I mentioned we've put a lot of effort into making it easy to get into, because we know that a lot of people are super intimidated by a mod. Well, most people, if they download a mod and they click a couple things and it crashes or it doesn't run, they'll just delete it, like they're done on the spot. So we've made, like, the installer is super simple now. You go to GOG and you download that for $10, and then you download one file for routes and for Fleet Ops 4, and one file for tactical maneuvers, one file for the mod that you want, and then you just run the executable and it installs, and then you run the program and it plays, and hopefully it doesn't crash for you. So we're definitely aiming to make it more accessible, and I think we've done pretty good with that.
That seems like a lot of such game communities are aiming for that right now. Ours is as well. Making things more accessible to new players is very important, I feel like, so that's really good. Yeah. Well,
because we had a talk about this a year or two ago, because we realized we've all been in this community for 20 years, and so it feels easy to us. We're like, oh yeah, you just copy this file here and you rename it, and you copy this file here and change the extension to this, and then you do this, and then you set your computer to this mode, and then you're done. And we had to realize, like, that's not, new people don't think that's easy.
Yeah, exactly. I was that new person for many games, and I would give up. Like, I didn't have time for it. I felt like, I don't know, there's a lot of people out there who are just really, really have low, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but they just don't have a lot of time to bust through that kind of stuff.
Well, and their commitment is low, right? They're downloading a random mod off the internet that they don't know a lot about. So yes. If it works, that's great, but they don't know how good it is. Like, say, yeah, if it crashes, they're just going to go away.
Yep.
And how is the multiplayer side on Fleet Ops? Has it grown since the GOG release?
Well, I was just saying, like, we don't see many of those 3v3s or 4v4s anymore. Those have been on a cycle for 15 years now, where there will be a period of 2 or 3 months where they're on, and then there'd be a period of 2 or 3 months when they're not happening. And I think right now they're not happening, but shoot, probably around Christmas time they'll start up again. We always get them for like 3 weeks around Christmas time, people playing multiplayer games. But as I mentioned, that's just the ones through the official, like the multiplayer server. I have it on relatively good authority just from talking to people who come through the server that a bunch of people just play with their friends. Like they'll get a friend group of 2 to 4 people and they'll play together. So it's hard for us to track how active it is. But for us, like, we don't get a lot. We don't have like ongoing multiplayer a lot of the time.
I remember there was not a hardcore PvP section of Fleet Ops, but some dedicated players. I wonder if they are still around.
They are. And like I said, I think they're in an off season right now, but they are permanent fixtures, so they'll be back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like they played 3v3 and 4v4s every weekend for like 6 months straight. And I think they're on a break now, and then they'll start up again.
I see, they are good. It's good that they are still alive at least.
Funny enough, there's actually a Armada 1 community on Game Ranger who have been going pretty strong. They've been doing big 4v4s every other weekend.
Yeah, I wanted to go into that next. If you don't have anything for Fleet Ops.
No, that's everything.
Okay. Yeah, Armada. Well, not only Armada. I would say all the Star Trek games have a big resurgence thanks to the GOG release, I would think. But in Armada, definitely, there is a very dedicated modder who not only archives everything currently, but also restores old mods. Mods which are broken, for example, he polished them a little bit and re-releases it on mod database. And there is also somebody who wants to recreate the multiplayer side. Currently, the multiplayer only works via Game Ranger or IPX wrapper. Game Ranger, we don't recommend in the Star Trek Armada Discord. There are sadly 2. There's a splitting, sadly. In the one I am, at least, we don't recommend it because we don't know what Game Ranger is doing to your PC exactly. The program is deleting some files. He's using some voodoo magic to make the direct connection. And the IPX wrapper is basically a simple, stupid IPX connection, and you can play. It's stable, it works. But yeah, there are multiple ways to play it, at least. That's always good. And big resurgence in Armada. Also in Elite Force. The Elite Force 2 community is small, but they still work creating new resource packs, new missions. This is available for many, many years, but he's still working on his co-op mod, Chris Stahl, a fellow German modder basically, made it possible that you could play the entire campaign of Elite Force 2 and all the mods, I think up to 8 players, 12 players, something like that. It's an amazing experience. And yeah, they are still active.
Yeah. Can I just take the one moment to kind of just backtrack, if that's okay? Because
Sure. I just run over multiple things here. Yeah, go ahead.
No, it's fine. I just wanted to say that Game Ranger, as far as Birth of the Federation is concerned, which has been seeing a bit more population recently, that's the only way to play the game online, as far as I know, unfortunately. But it's pretty good for Birth of the Federation anyway. I'm not sure about the other games. Seems like it can be a problem for some others, but it's like I would recommend, whether you have the disc or not, the best version of Birth of the Federation is on armadafleetcommand.com. So I would ditch the disc if you have it and just use that version, and it plays very well online if you use Game Ranger. It still crashes sometimes, but it's a lot more stable compared to where the multiplayer scene was not even 7 years ago. Like, it's way better now. So thanks to modders.
Yeah, but I still prefer a VPN for that, because as a content creator, I want to control basically the audio of my setup. And if I use Game Ranger, it has the annoying tendency to give me an advertisement in my own language. I don't like the German language on my stream, so please, F off, go away.
Yeah, there are those ads. That's true. Have to learn to deal with those, unfortunately.
Yeah, if I could turn them off, or if I could at least lower the volume, I would be happy. But so no. A direct VPN connection is for me preferred, at least. And one also bad thing with Game Ranger is that you can't play, for example, fleet operations. You can say, hey, use this exe for the game, but for some games it just doesn't start the mods. And Armada 2 is one of them.
Oh, no.
Yep, we use Radmin right now. Although we found any VPN service will work. And actually, I think you might have touched on it. We actually do have a new guy in our modern community he's... Oh no, I don't remember the name of it. But like the original multiplayer servers, there's modern versions of them that you can like create, and he wants to get multiplayer that's actually integrated into the program, which is something I've wanted to for a long time. You know, you hit a button inside the game and it gets you your multiplayer.
Yeah, it would make life a little bit easier, definitely. But yeah, I would say we finished the current state of Star Trek gaming. Let's head into the future.
Well, okay.
If you have anything, we can still stay here in the current.
Yeah, I have very limited things to say. I just feel bad because I left some things out, because the modders and Birth Federation community have done such an amazing job. I just want to say, if you've been keeping up with the game and with the development, right now we're working on ship textures, which for any Trek game, that's like a big thing, because we love the Star Trek designs for ships are really beautiful, as we know. So we're working on that, and we're increasing the number of palettes in the game. So like as before, in the game engine, we only had 127 colors, I think, and we have increased that to over 300. And we're working on some ways to make the game run faster. That was a big problem back in the day, especially back then. Like if you would press a turn, it's a 4X game. Everyone puts their inputs in, and then they all hit turn, and then when everyone's done, it moves on. And that loading time would be a long time. And we've cut that down considerably, and we're still working on that in many aspects. So yeah, I just wanted to shout out the modders of the community there. I didn't want them, like, I would definitely check out Armada Fleet Command and also the Armada sister forum too. I like Armada a lot. I haven't played the game in ages. I still want, I just recommend the website just in general, I guess. Okay, sorry, you can move on now. I don't want to feel like I was forgetting something. Yeah.
Totally fine. Since we are at the start of the future now, is there any mod project, anything comes to mind which isn't maybe even released?
Like I say, my hope is to definitely get more campaigns into the Fleet Ops circulation, but I can't say those are coming quickly. It'll be quite a while before we have workable products.
I saw that you finally have a main menu screen. I love it. It looks so nice.
Yeah. I crowdsourced that because I'm terrible with all things graphics. But we have some really great graphic editors in our team, so I was able to just ask, like, hey, can someone make this for me? Yeah, I actually, as far as real games, I saw that Star Trek Voyager Across the Unknown game. Just the Steam video and screenshots look really good. So I don't know. That makes me hopeful, but we'll find out, I guess.
Yeah, I'm very curious myself.
Because, and honestly, I mean, I would love to see another Star Trek real-time strategy game, but I don't think the industry's capable of doing it yet. I say yet because actually there's being this big resurgence of real-time strategy games. The recent Dawn of War, Warhammer 40k Dawn of War announcement is really rocking the boat because it is a traditional RTS tied to a major science fiction IP coming out in this year, and that gives me a lot of hope. But I don't know, the audience for these is a little small and dedicated, but also they're not making games for them. And like I mentioned, I've said several times now, like the reason that the Fleet Ops community stays alive is because they never made another game. They never made another Armada. I mean, there's the Armada 3 Sins of a Solar Empire mod, and that's awesome. But like they never made another traditional Star Trek RTS. So like if someone wants to play it, this is the only one on Earth. And if they did make another one, there's a possibility, like if they made another good one, it might completely kill off fleet operations. But I'd be okay with that because then we'd have another one and we'd start modding that one.
To be honest, I don't fear that day because we also still have Armada 1 modding.
Yeah, there would be place for it for sure.
And yeah, I'm also looking very happily into the future. Star Trek Voyager Across the Unknown looks really nice. It's maybe a little bit more on the casual side than I would like, but in general, yeah, I definitely will buy it. I'm considering if I buy it directly at release because Star Trek Infinite, I burned a little bit my hand with that. I thought this will be a nice game. I buy it for the message. No phaser sounds. Nope, thanks.
I dodged a bullet there. I was so close to buying it, but I didn't.
Kat, what about you? Do you look forward to the new Star Trek game? Did you see the trailer?
I did. I'm always open-minded. I'd give it a go, but it's more like let's wait and see, and then you always, hear things. But yeah, no, I am excited. I think, anytime you get something to do with Star Trek, I'll try it at least once to see if I like the gameplay.
Yeah, sadly, we didn't see much about that in the trailer, but I imagine it's something like Fallout Shelter. So you manage your bunker, your starship in this case, and you make these different decisions. I'm really curious how starship combat will be. We saw in-game cutscenes, but not really in-game play of that battle.
Yeah, the trailer is it looks very cool, but again, I don't know how much of that was real gameplay.
Honestly, I would take it even if it's just Fallout Shelter in space.
Right.
And in general, I would be so happy because Star Trek Voyager is definitely my favorite show. I know it's not critical the best show in the universe, but I grew up with it. It's, my Star Trek baby.
Oh,
it has really grown on me.
I love Voyager too. It's not my favorite, but I really appreciate the show.
I love Voyager as well.
Yeah.
I feel like it really fits the episodic format because recently when I was going to put on some Star Trek while I was working on some modding, I tried some Next Generation and I couldn't get into it that easy, and I tried some Deep Space Nine and I couldn't get into it that easy, and then I just put on Voyager and it ran for 8 hours and it was fine. And the entire type of storytelling is not there today. Everything has to be part of a Game of Thrones style massive storyline. They won't even do episodic stories anymore.
Yeah, that's one of my major gripes with a lot of the modern TV shows for Star Trek. Like, I miss the format where each episode's sort of a standalone, and you don't really need, as like a new viewer, you don't need to have watched everything before to enjoy it. I feel like there's an opportunity is being missed for sure.
Well, and at the end of the day, you also get better writing quality out of them because every episode can be focused on, because a lot of these, they're written by multiple people anyway. So when you have multiple writers and they're all trying to write the exact same storyline, when the writers disagree, it's a problem. But if every single episode is a separate story and you have one writer just write an episode, they can't cause that much damage. And I think there were, like, back in the day, there were criticisms that some of the writers made Janeway like kind of an evil character. But even then, like, that was nothing compared to the problems we have today. We had it good back then.
Since the game is a big what-if scenario, you can basically make all the Voyager decisions yourself. Would you kill Tuvix or not?
Oh, for sure. I would. If it was, if you're making your decisions and you get alternate options. Yeah, absolutely. I do that with the games I play right now.
Yeah, I probably would. Well, after watching some reviews, admittedly after Infinite, I'm very hesitant to just jump into a game. But if there is even just a glimmer of hope, yeah, I'd love to try it.
I would return Tuvix, and I would deny that it was really killing him.
It's just a reset.
Poor Tuvix.
Well, because like my understanding is that they both kept the memories from that time. I mean, maybe they didn't, but
Well, it wasn't mentioned, yeah.
I would be like, no, not exactly the same thing.
Headcanon.
Voyager had some wild episodes.
Yeah,
Oh,
but and
yeah.
the fact that the story was going to reset afterwards actually freed them to make those stories, because in like say in the long form single storyline, when they still want to make wild, crazy episodes, but they just make them permanent canon instead. Like, you can't just, if it was old Trek, they would have, like, the entire destruction of Romulus, they would have been like, oh, alternate universe where Romulus exploded. And then we can return to the real universe where we still have a Romulan empire. But in this format, they're like, nah, hold my beer. Like, we make a new canon now, boys, because I want to tell a story about a planet exploding. I'm going to permanently alter the entire Star Trek canon and remove like the possibility of anybody ever making a Romulan Empire story again.
Did you know, guys, that Star Trek Online saved basically the entire Star Trek universe?
Oh?
In what way?
I think you cats should know the story. JJ basically wanted to kill the entire universe, the entire known Star Trek universe, in 2009. And the developers of Star Trek Online, Tryptic Studio, raised their hand and said, we kind of need the universe. We developed a game and we only have 18 months to do so. Please don't kill the entire universe. Just Romulus would be nice.
So it could have been so
I
much
had
work.
never heard that story, but that makes a lot of sense.
I think those interviews were around 2011, 12-ish. So maybe a little bit before you joined Priority One. Could that be?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Because I didn't join until later. But that's pretty fascinating. Well, I imagine, too, if you are a license holder and the other license holder is about to come in and put your stuff in a blender, you may have some way to come back to push back against that. Well, that would have been a fascinating discussion to hear more about.
Yeah, absolutely. I will talk about this point a little bit later, preserving Star Trek gaming history. There are so many nice interviews from the early days of Star Trek Online, where we learned so much about gaming, but also the state of the universe, the negotiations back then. Yeah, we have to preserve it. But before we go there, there is also another Star Trek game on the horizon called Star Trek Infection. It's a VR game, and I'm not sure what to think about it. What do you say?
I've not heard of that one yet.
I'm going to look this up right now.
Oh, I had heard about that one before I had heard about the Voyager one, and I'm not a horror. I just mixing Star Trek with a horror. What? I don't know.
Yeah.
I like how they say explore a ruined Defiant class starship. Do they know how small a Defiant is? Like, that's like saying,
That's like
explore.
my closet.
Yeah, it's like explore your local, I don't know, like Walgreens.
I mean, there was some precedent in Next Generation and in Voyager where it was like a semi-horror theme in one of the episodes in each, like where aliens took over the ship, or like there was like an infection of the crew members or something like that.
Yes. Is that horror though?
I mean, that's as much as horror gets in Star
It's
Trek.
thrilling. I mean,
Yeah,
it's thrilling. But I mean, yeah, you have those moments of, or jump scare or whatever. But yeah, I don't know.
Well, and also thematically, right? Like there were several Trek stories, like episodes it was a straight up horror plot, but they didn't treat it as such. Like the macrovirus, right? They didn't have horror stings in the music, and they didn't jump cut the camera. They just had the characters. They had professional military characters dealing with an alien infestation and then saving the day. I don't know. I think VR is unfortunately not relevant to much of the world. Honestly, like just the trailer looks really good, but and once again, like I would take an Alien Isolation and the Trek universe. No, I don't do VR.
I don't VR.
That's another big subject here. VR is only for a small percent of gamers doable even. Others get sick by it. It's a strange decision.
Well, and VR in general, it flashed in the pan, and it's kind of like my understanding is it's smaller now than it was before. Like it's not growing, it's shrinking.
Oh, that's probably because you had to sign in through Facebook.
Oh yeah. Oh, I would never ever let Meta know what I was doing with my VR headset.
I know I don't even have Facebook anymore, but I also am not going to buy a product that requires me to log in through Facebook.
Also, I guess like you guys, horror and Star Trek don't mix for me. I also hate in Strange New Worlds that you have one episode for children, a magical fairy tale in a forest basically, and the next one a ripoff of Alien. I grew up with Star Trek in basically elementary school, and now of course I want to watch with my daughters new Star Trek, and I can't because I really have to consider, can I watch this episode? Should I watch every episode before I show it to her? It's so strange coming from the old days basically, where you could turn it on and you knew it's nothing problematic for a child.
Yeah. Well, and there's just no respect for the legacy in the modern eras. Because, the Vulcan neck pinch was created because Leonard Nimoy, refused to punch someone on screen. He's like, I will not even, grab them and, choke them out. And they were like, what if he just, reaches over and pinches them in the neck and they fall asleep? And they were like, sure, let's do that. And that was born. They were so completely opposed to displaying violence in their shows at the start of Trek. And that was part of what gave it its strength. And I mean, obviously, they've done many palm heel strikes to the face over the years. But yeah, but
I mean, I think that was a Gene Roddenberry dictate, obviously we had DS9 maybe wasn't as...
Yeah, and I guess, I guess it wasn't always that way. But it's not the same as someone being blown away mid-sentence.
Yeah, it was definitely a turning point in DS9, but it's the newer shows are very much just action-packed scenes where definitely makes it more problematic when you have other episodes like what Captain Sedaris was mentioning earlier. It just doesn't mesh well together.
And on the fan side, we luckily also have something on the horizon. Star Trek Armada 4 is, like Tryptic mentioned, in development. I reached also again out to Maxlov. He can't give me, of course, any release date, but he at least told me everything is well underway. They're doing good progress, but yeah, nothing much there. And a promising project called Total Assimilation is a mod for Evocron Legacy. It's a bad comparison if I say it's like Freelancer, but basically you control a small ship and you can trade, you can fly into an atmosphere, you can battle big ships. A lot of different content he is creating. He also plans to have a double table where you basically fly to Deep Space Nine and go to Quarks. A lot of ideas he has, but yeah, curious how this will go.
Well, if he's not here, I will plug Star Trek Armada 4 so hard, because the thing to understand is Star Trek Armada 3 was built on top of Sins of a Solar Empire, which was around for 10, 15 years, and they gradually improved it over and over and over, and it got better and better and better, kind of like StarCraft did back in the day. And then they released Sins of a Solar Empire 2, and it is really good. It is a complete triumph and an upgrade over 1. They removed a lot of things, and you don't even mind, because they simplified it, they streamlined it, and they added cool new features. And now Armada 4 is being built in Sins of a Solar Empire 2. So my hopes for Armada 4 are super high because the engine improvements and the modding flexibility that was added in the base game is so high. I think the team is going to be able to do incredible things with this mod. I think it's probably going to end up being a clear upgrade over Armada 3 in the same way that Sins 2 is an upgrade over Sins 1.
Yeah, the engine is really a big step up. It's what Max told me last year was basically they can go as crazy as they like. For example, they can create a missile which is also a trading cup, which is also a fighter carrier. So they are not limited in any ways. It's nice. And of course, the engine is more stable.
Yeah, well, and the graphics too are chef's kiss. When you see like a swarm of missile frigates behind a massive Titan, and they all fire their missiles, and all the missiles path around the Titan and like swarm all over in different directions. And then they recombine on the other side, and then they keep going and they hit the enemy. I was like, we didn't have that 10 years ago. That's the kind of stuff I would really love to have in mind, but you know, Armada 2 is never going to support that.
In general, I always feel so relieved when I play modern RTS games. Sins of the Solar Empire, for example, you have such huge battles and you still can enjoy them. If you reach a certain limit in Armada 1 and 2, you will feel it. And in Bridge Commander, it will crash.
Yeah, we're working hard to fix that, at least on Armada 2 front. But yeah, it's true. Can't deny it. Although actually, well, I to plug my own personal mod, Tactical Maneuvers, I have tweaked some settings such that if a battle gets beyond a certain size, instead of crashing, it'll just hide some of the ships. So you'll just get some of the ships will be invisible, and you'll still be able to select them and give them orders, but they'll just be a blank space in space. But it doesn't crash.
Well, that's basically the direction Star Trek Online goes. If there are too many special effects on the screen, you don't see your phase of fire even.
Yeah, we call that increasing stability.
Yeah, then I would say only real big agenda on today's list is preserving Star Trek gaming history. I touched this a little bit. Over the years, especially as you are a veteran in the Star Trek gaming community, you know many websites are offline now. We lost so much content, so much on creation by the community is lost. And yeah, I really think we have to combat that more. This is why I'm also creating a kind of... It's not really a wiki. It should be something more in the future. It should be on the one side a place where we archive all the mods we find, and on the other side it should be a collaboration effort where we are not isolated on our own discords. This is the second problem in either preserving and playing together, is everybody is on his own little island, in his own little bubble. Back then we had websites and it was a little bit more open. And yeah, I wonder if you have any ideas, any suggestions.
Wow, that's tough because yeah, people do tend to stay in their own, Discord servers or your universe of community of the game that you play. So it's kind of hard to cross over.
Yes, I feel much the same way. Especially since I feel like I have so much limited time, really, and even my own projects and the game I play a lot is, it takes a lot of that time that I would have. I wish I had some good suggestions. I can't think of anything at the moment for how we could remedy that.
I mean,
Yeah.
I would think try to have meetups at conventions if people are going, but even then, you're still limited on location and who's around and what you're doing. So I don't know.
Well, as far as files go, we could probably, just share some stuff between servers. Although a lot of the time we start out with the exact same files between mods, but then people will optimize it for the performance of the game system they're working on. And now we have the Armada 2 version of that model and texture. but that might be different from what needed to be optimized for a different game. It's certainly something to look into, but like I don't think it's anybody's response. Like no one's going to do it except the people in this call, basically.
No. Don't get me wrong on that. But especially the modding communities are good data hoarders often. So I would imagine Tryptic, for example, you have many different Star Trek mods on your hard disks.
Yeah.
So I propose basically on this wiki, more or less, I have an entire list of all the mods I have, and I collect all the mods from all the other people basically, and crew this list. And also have, since I know Seven Saturn very well, he will also have a copy of the entire mod library. So if something happens to me, the entire library is saved by him. And if we have, let's say, 5 or 10 people on this list, we can more or less guarantee it's preserved. Mod database is really nice. I love mod database, don't get me wrong, but we have seen big websites just vanishing. So having a mail list of, like I mentioned, 10 Star Trek Armada modders who are willing to save all Star Trek Armada mods would be a starter. It's a pipe dream. I'm not sure if it's doable, but I thought about this a few months ago.
Yeah, well,
So
it's
some type
definitely
of
a good idea to start.
library.
Kind of. And in addition to that, also a library about the different clans and in Star Trek Online, the fleets. Back then, there was a website called Hailing Frequency. They did a podcast. They did also, if I remember correctly, an archive of the different clans. So something like that would also be nice.
Oh, that's cool. I mean, there's still some active ones out there, but, you know, I don't see as many familiar names as I used to.
Well, I would love basically all the Star Trek Online podcasts on my hard disk, just for archiving purposes. The first big one comes to mind is Stoked. It was a video podcast about Star Trek Online. Those guys were amazing back then. The video production quality was so high, unbelievable.
Yeah, I remember that podcast.
And we could call it Memory Alpha. Oh, wait. We could call it Memory Beta. Oh, wait. We could call it Memory Gamma?
I remember that joke, yeah.
Yeah, I remember browsing those.
Holy crap.
And another pipe dream basically would be to have on this platform a calendar, which is then linked to a Discord bot and basically posts all the upcoming events. So if I host a Star Trek Armada event, it will be pushed on the platform. And then if you as a Discord owner wants this information on your Discord, the bot would produce a result for you. Those are basically the only things I came up in the last few months to combat that strange feeling I have that we have, at least I have, 15 different Star Trek Discords. And it's so much overlapping and so much information is lost on the way. And I'm a big enemy of Discord in general
15?
because Discord is... Sorry, go ahead.
I was like, you have 15 different Star Trek channels on Discord? I guess I have like 8, so maybe 15's not so bad.
Yeah, I've only got like 5.
I've got 3, but I find it overwhelming just with 3, honestly. But
I'm having alone 5 different Armada Discords.
damn.
Wow.
Two different Bridge Commander Discords, classic Star Trek gaming Discords. Yeah, there is so much splitting in the community. And yeah, I'm always hitting the limit of my Discords I can join. I have to delete one to join another one.
Oh, this definitely is actually making me think about this. I haven't really given as much thought into preserving this stuff as much as I probably should have. It makes me think of Armada Fleet Command, and they were telling me maybe the website would be shut down at some point. It's not really at risk right now, but there's like a lot of course, Armada, but also Birth of the Federation, older mods where they have kind of been abandoned by the people who've made them, but we still host them. Like we have like an entire a download for just older mods that people might still play in single player, and they may be in different sorts of states of disrepair, but they're still there, and if they come back, they can always pick up where they left off. But maybe we should host some of these files on other places too, that people can, as like a backup. Or I don't know. I had to go talk to the admin there to see what he's been thinking about, because I'm sure he's probably thought about countermeasures in case that happens, a contingency of some sort. Sorry, I don't know if I'm going off topic, but
No. Another problem I see in Discord is always that some bad apples can destroy a Discord server. I saw in the past, in the Star Wars community especially, multiple times that an admin was basically pissed off and he deleted the entire Discord.
Oh no.
Oh, boy.
Oh my god, that's terrible.
It's way too easy. Yeah, of course, you can also delete a website, but there are so many more steps to delete an entire website compared to a Discord. Here it's just, you're the admin, you enter your password, it's gone.
Yeah, that actually happened to the first Birth of the Federation Discord before the one I joined. There was one there, and it just disappeared one day. And that really set them back. They had trouble reaching out to all the players again. So that's very unfortunate. I hate when that happens.
That's terrible. Yeah, I don't know. There's a way to archive.
Sadly, there isn't a backup for Discords. So I would love if Discord would integrate that option to have automatical backups of your Discord, so nothing can happen. But now, currently, nobody is safe.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I'm about to have to head out. Sorry.
No problem. I think we wrap it also up here slowly. Before you go, if you have 5 or 10 more minutes.
Sure.
Since you're all basically new on the channel, except Tryptic, but he also wasn't on the roundtable discussions, I would like to know from all of you, but since you have to leave, from you first, basically, what would you like to see in a new Star Trek game, and what maybe not?
That's a good question. What I would like to see, again, and I think I had mentioned this before, more consequence, I don't know what you call it, but options, because you're depending on what type of character you're playing, especially, you would approach something if you're science or engineering or tactical, but also as, your own character, whatever species you are. I would like to see that type of customization. And then your choices have different, real consequences and different outcomes based on how you navigate your journey through the game.
Yeah, besides Star Trek Online, we don't have any good character design decisions in the game. I saw the Resurgency has a character designer, but this was also fixed.
Yeah, I mean, there are obviously the universe boundaries, but I still, there's still a lot of options there. And we do in the Armada have a ongoing Star Trek adventure role-playing game where, of course, that gives you, stuff, but it's not, that's more of a, pen and paper kind of game.
Well, at least you always have the ultimate end game in Star Trek Online, Space Barbie.
Yes, my favorite. Give me some new costumes any day.
I guess this is also one of your upcoming events, Halloween event.
I know. We still haven't come up with our theme. I threw some ideas out there, but we haven't gotten a consensus yet. I tried to come up with a different theme, though I think my favorite one that we did was your favorite holodeck character. We had some really great people turn up in some amazing, in-game costumes. I did Arachnia, which was pretty hard to do, but I came up with a version of Arachnia.
And Kat, is there anything you don't want to see in a game?
Well, after we looked at the infected thing, I guess I'm not super convinced horror is where the direction which needs to go. But, I'm always willing to try if, the story is compelling. To me, I guess story is the thing. I want a good story that has, depth and where you feel like you've made some decisions one way or the other.
I wonder, how do you feel about loot boxes?
I don't hate them, but I don't think a game needs to rely on that as like a revenue stream. I feel like that's kind of where, if you're relying on that it feels manipulative. They do, but I like to open them, so I guess the marketing and it works. So there's that, because I'm a sucker for opening loot boxes.
I only did this for the Azuran Freighter back in 2011 something, and it was a pain.
Oh, it's the worst, but sometimes you get pleasantly surprised, and that's very occasionally. Very occasional.
Anything else? Any thoughts about the new game?
No, just I hope. I mean, again, I'm not as well versed on gaming, I think, as most of y'all here, since my time has been fairly recent. But if there is a good game, it really does come across, and I think I just like when people really do think about all the options and really fully develop a game, before it gets launched and you play it. I like that. So if the new games coming out accomplish that, then that's pretty great.
Well, I can't add anything to that. And since you have to go, I would say have a good night, good day. I'm not sure what time zone you are exactly.
Well, it's been so great talking to you guys and getting to hear about these different gaming communities. I'm fascinated. Why I probably am now going to look up the games we've been talking about and maybe give them a go.
That's nice to hear. And I hope we didn't bore you to death.
No.
It was nice having you on the chat, but yeah, different for you, I guess.
Yeah, feel free to drop by Priority One. We've got our own Discord server, shocker, but we do the show live streams on Saturday nights in US time. So yeah, feel free to say hey.
I absolutely will. And yeah, you and Winters are always welcome here. So can't wait to talk to you again.
Absolutely. Thank you all so much. Have a great rest of your week.
You too. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So guys, same question. Who wants to go first?
I can this time.
All right.
So, I mean, when you say what would you want in a new game, it's like, well, what genre? Honestly, I think there's definitely space for pretty similar to what Across the Unknown looks like. The little roguelite, repeated run, indie feeling mechanics where you're on. I mean, a Voyager's like a perfect one for it, right? Because it's basically the story of FTL in many ways. You're traveling through various sectors, but there's so much space for that. Although working on RTS games, and it's easy for me to say this, but I haven't actually produced it yet, but I think RTS games need way more campaign content. Like the gold standard is Warcraft 3. That is 10 mission campaigns in it. It has 40 missions in the base game. And then the expansion has like another 30, I want to say. Maybe it's a little more than that. So when I see these new games like Tempest Rising and Stormgate and all these come out, and they're like, oh yeah, we've got 8 levels, or oh, we've got 10 levels. I'm like, why? Why do you only have 10 levels? So I want to see, and I want to see, like, if I actually get there, this is my dream. The funny thing is, the Armada 2 engine only supports like a maximum of 40 missions. You can't fit more. The menus don't have space for it.
It's a menu limitation.
Yes, you'd have to make like alternate versions of the mod, like campaign 1, campaign 2, But that's what I want to see. I want to see an RTS game with it just goes like 100 mission campaign or something, and they obviously it would be hard to keep people engaged that whole time. So maybe it's broken into subsections, and like almost episodic. Like I want to see missions, and this is also an intellectual property issue, unfortunately, but I want to see missions that are actual episodes from the shows. I want to play, some of these actual like Deep Space Nine conflicts. The game Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds was basically an Armada. It was a Age of Empires 2 clone with ranged weapons, but you play through every single campaign. Like there's a level where you're fighting the Battle of Naboo, and there's even a level where you control the little teddy bears and you attack the shield generator, and it's so cool. because it matches what you saw on screen, and that's what I want to see.
Oh,
Nope.
oh, Ewoks. Yeah, I kind of no, I do like that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump in.
No, yeah, it's you now. Take it.
Oh no, yeah. I played. Have you played Star Wars Battlefront? I don't know if it's kind of reminded me. Yeah, it has a lot of like campaign missions from the movies. I don't know. I think that's really cool if you like have like different scenarios or like short campaigns that you could do that kind of like allow you to replay, like favorite parts of a story.
Yeah.
But go ahead. I didn't mean to.
Oh no, I mean that was about the end of it. That's what I want to see.
Yeah,
it's just like I want to see the actual storylines leveraged into a huge amount of content.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I definitely looking forward to all the Star Trek games. Well, most of them anyway. Then I'm looking forward to the new Voyager game, which is kind of like a survival management game, from what I hear from what we talked about. But I would love to see another attempt at a strategy game. And I know Infinite was a letdown, but I think there's definitely a lot of potential there. I just think that they really have to spend a lot of time on it and make sure, like any kind of strategy game, whether it's real time or turn based, make sure that there is some semblance of balance at launch, because people don't want to play a really imbalanced game at launch. And I find these days they don't do this, and they wait till later to patch the game, and by then it's too late. The community is already gone. I think Infinite kind of had that problem. At least from what I heard in my Discord, people did not like the way the game was balanced. They thought that some factions were more powerful than others to an insane degree. So definitely that. Also, have more content in a strategy game, like an empire building strategy game. There was a lot of mods that changed for Infinite. I don't think they lasted long. I think people moved on from them, but they had mods for Star Trek Infinite that changed the map around, because in the base game it's a set map and it's very predictable. Like they're trying to go for like a canon setting, which is fine, but
that should be one out of like 5 maps.
Yeah, there should be more options.
That should be maybe one option. There should be a random.
Yeah, there should be and a random option that was sorely needed, because it was kind of like people before the game was released, a lot of people who played Star Trek Birth of the Federation, or even the third party. I'm not sure if you heard of Star Trek Supremacy. It's like a spiritual successor to Birth of the Federation. People who like those games were looking forward to this one, and they're like, "Oh, it's going to be just like that." But it was not a lot of replayability, and those people were really let down. But I was thinking too that they could have a random setting. But they can also have like different scenarios, like a variety of different campaigns, like a Dominion War one. I know that would be really popular. People love Deep Space Nine and the big battles and everything. I don't know, maybe a Borg invasion one or something like that. Infinite just did not have enough going for it. I don't know what. There's so much. I don't want to like dog on it too much, but just whatever Infinite did, do something. Just do the opposite, I suppose. If anyone is listening to this podcast later, definitely don't rush the game. I don't know what else there is to say outside of the strategy genre, because that's kind of like where I'm focused at the moment. Maybe more playable factions in the new game. Like Infinite only had 4. I think that they could do better than that. Like even Birth of the Federation, a game from 1999. Had 5 at least, even if it was just a race like the Ferengi instead of the Dominion, at least it was a little adding to the replayability value when you have more different factions to play in a strategy game. So yeah, I think we can end it there on my end anyway. I don't really have anything else to bring up that I can remember.
Totally fine. I'm just glad you guys don't want a Dabo simulator, so yeah.
Yeah.
All good answers.
They can put Dabo in the VR horror game.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I will ever own VR glasses. It's not my cup of tea.
No, I've never done that. I probably never will either.
VR is an awesome experience to play at a friend's house for about 4 hours and then be done.
Yeah, I had the same experience.
I'll probably try it once just to see what it's like. I don't think it's something that people really will get into like for in the long term. It's just there's just limitations to it, I feel.
And the sad part is often the games are just tech demos. They don't have much content. They die often quickly. I'm not sure if you heard about Star Trek Bridge Crew.
That
No, I
generated
haven't.
some really funny videos, though.
It did, but yeah, it was so shallow, especially compared to another game which is similar. Pulsar is an indie game, and there you can even leave your ship, explore other planets, other ships. It's open, and you're not locked on the bridge.
Well, and therein lies the problem, right? Is like the peak experience, the most fun most people could have with Bridge Crew is watching someone play it.
Yeah.
Like that is the best experience. It's better than actually playing the game. And that's a
Oh.
problem.
Yeah, but that's really a problem if your product is only good for watching and not playing.
Oh, I just remembered something. Just for any Star Trek game in general, I mean, are games that do this, but maybe more games that allow you to kind of play from an alien perspective. Because, I mean, naturally, it's mostly like Starfleet campaign-based stuff. But people do have their favorite alien race, so maybe more Romulan or Klingon or whatever, like kind of campaigns, if that makes sense, I personally really enjoy the Ferengi in Deep Space Nine, so I wish there would be more Ferengi content, but I'm not holding out for that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, an original Star Trek has a robust tradition of making stuff up on the spot.
Yeah.
I see. You don't want the Dabo simulator. You want the Dabo Empire simulator.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Ferengi Tycoon, I would play that.
Yeah.
Like
Me
you're
too.
on a star, like there's like several different star bases you could be on, and you have to like expand loading docks and stuff. I would play that game.
And you send out little saboteurs to sabotage the different other companies out there.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. That's
Maybe you could
already that's just like a nice little indie title. Like that's a
Yeah.
game design that would totally work on its own with or without the Star Trek license. It would just be really nice if it had the Trek license.
Yeah, back in the 90s, this would have worked. Now, I have to think hard to remember a Ferengi in New Trek. I know we saw one or two, but it's hard. But yeah, I would say basically this is the part of the video where I open the mic to you guys. Is there anything you would like to add? Anything we have missed?
Hold on, I got my notes here. Let's see.
This is the first time ever somebody said that.
It's very hastily written up, but I got it.
Well, you did have an interesting point earlier talking about content, because I've wondered how many of these communities are using the same spaceship models as each other, and maybe how often someone asks around their own community, hey, does anybody have a model for this? And it comes back empty, but someone in another server had one. So it would be interesting to raise some visibility.
Yeah. The only crossover I can think of would be like I know the Sovereign class model for a lot of the ships in Birth of the Federation that actually comes from Armada. I don't know how many of them come from Armada. I'm guessing quite a few of them. But yeah, it's definitely something to keep in mind. I kind of just didn't even think about that until recently.
Yeah, because I got a ship on my hard drive. One time, one of the modder guys said, hey, I want to test out this program real quick. Someone asked for a ship alternate. And I was like, okay, cool. I want a Constitution ship, but I want 2 saucers in the back and 1 nacelle in the front.
Yeah.
And he made the most cursed model and gave it to me. And I have it.
goodness.
And the people need to know. This used to be in Bridge Commander.
You can make a curse mod with that, I suppose. Maybe one day. I don't know.
But the funny thing is, that's like canonically how the original showrunners made some of these things. They just glued parts of spaceships together and then blew them up with explosives. So we're not even breaking, the theme of the world.
I guess you all know the Jaeger class. It was a kit bash
Yeah.
for many of the ships at Wolf 359. But yeah, I would say that's definitely a discussion for another day. Anything game related, or shall we call it?
I have a few things game related. Just for the community I'm aware of right now. That's okay. Get into that.
Absolutely.
So just quickly, yesterday I released an announcement that we were going to host the second tournament of this year for Birth of the Federation. I do have a YouTube channel. I haven't announced. I'm going to make an announcement on there like I usually do. I just haven't gotten to it yet. But I think that if you are listening to this, just head over to armadafleetcommand.com and go to the Birth of the Federation forum, and you will see all the tournament posts there if you're interested. And the people there are really nice, and they help you get set up and tell you how to use Game Ranger. So don't feel intimidated. Just hit us up. And we have a Discord server too for Birth of the Federation. It's more multi-role now. We have a section for Armada, and used to have one dedicated to Infinite, but it's mostly Birth of the Federation now. I don't know if we can link that somewhere. It's okay. Just go to Armada when in doubt. Yeah, that's it. That's basically the news.
I haven't asked you before, silly me. How is your tournament working? Are you really playing 5 players at once? I imagine it's unstable if you play with so many players.
It does lower the stability a bit. Back in the day when the game first came out, it would have been almost unplayable. They've made a lot of progress since then to make the game crash way less, even online. So we could play 5-player games in the tournament. We just don't have enough players for it. People just don't have enough time, frankly. It's a big commitment to have everyone have, overlapping times where they're free and then they're not working. So to get the tournament finished faster, we usually just have 1 versus 1s with 3 AI opponents that we kind of just play off each other. Maybe you can kind of use the AI to help you, or sometimes the AI can be a bit of a problem. That's kind of for the player to kind of overcome. It's a very interesting part of the tournament, at least the traditional tournament format. So we kind of just been rolling with that. I think it's always been that way. I don't know if they've done 2v2 or group tournaments yet. We've thought about that. I'm sure as hell have. The logistics of it is just, for me, right for now, too much. Single player 1 versus 1 tournaments is a lot easier to organize. Basically, I try to shoot for 16-player tournaments, and we've gotten somewhat close, but we end up just having an 8-player cap, and we just roll out with 8 players and have a single elimination style. But we don't know. I don't know what the future holds. If let's say, so recently I got a big spike of activity on my YouTube channel, and a lot of people were asking about the game, like, hey, where can I download Birth of the Federation? Where can I download so-and-so other Star Trek games? I don't know where the people came from, but I'm not complaining. So maybe we can have bigger tournaments in the future. And I just got to keep putting the word out there.
Absolutely. Let's keep those games alive.
Yeah. If any older players, people who've retired from these games want to come back, would be an excellent time, because, I'm making a tutorial video for Birth of the Federation. I feel like there's a lot of pressure on a few people to kind of keep the game alive. So any help that we can get would be much appreciated if you wanted to come in and kind of help with that process, whether you're making tutorials or guides or videos or modding tutorials, etc. Whatever you can do, it would be a big help.
Of course, all the informations will be later in the video description, where you can find the Discords and the Armada fleet command and everything.
Excellent.
But yeah, I would say that's it for this video. Leave us a comment, tell us what you think about the game. Tell us what you think about the games, and of course, play the games. Until next time, bye bye.